Hey everybody, it's Joel. I'm down at Boom Comics and I've got an exciting topic for this video. We're going to talk about ship-to-ship combat in the Dryden primer. One of the most exciting and interesting things that has happened so far in a Dryden experiment story. I don't have rights to at the moment, and I'm very upset about that. In Daniel Hunt's story, Revenge, he tells a story of ship-to-ship combat, and it's awesome, and I love it, and it's not coming out in print until at least the fall of 2015, and that's terrible because I can't print samples from it until he releases it, and it's a crime against humanity. I love that story. It's one of my very favorite Dryden stories. It's set very early in interstellar exploration, one of the very early wars between the Earth and other local star systems, and the main character's insane, and it's a great story. And so read it when it's going to be a part of the Songs from Distant Stars story collection, and make sure you pick that one up when it comes out in print, because Dan kicks ass. But I don't want everybody to have to wait for Dan's story, and so this is 10 minutes on how interstellar combat happens, ship-to-ship combat happens in the Dryden experiment, and to set a little bit of a principle, underlying principle to understand what goes on when ships try to fight in the Dryden universe, at least in the primer. All the rules, of course, change as we go forward in time, is to remember that the framing technology that ships use to jump location to location doesn't happen close to planets. And the scientific explanation for why it doesn't happen explanation for why it doesn't happen close to planets is because the naturally occurring ripples in space-time that the technology exploits are flattened by massive objects. So the closer you get to a planet, the less ripple there is, and you can't get close. The practical reason is because starships traveling at faster than the speed of light are the most incredible kinetic energy weapons in the world. If I hit your planet with a golf ball going 4 times the size of 4 times the speed of light, I'd blow a huge hole in the side of your planet, and we just can't have that. We need some way to keep the humans from completely destroying each other anytime they get upset. The Death Star was a really cool toy, but if you had a dozen of those floating around in space, it'd just really disturb the balance of power, and we don't want that to happen. We want different governments to be able to survive and compete with each other, and so you can't just frame into a planet. You have to drop out of frame and approach the planet in conventional. But in general terms, that does not extend out into space outside of massive objects. So 2 ships that are looking for each other and trying to have a battle from each other once they're more than 2 or 3 light minutes away from the nearest supermassive body are pretty much free to have at it. The rules of interstellar travel tell us that the frames the ripples in space-time that we follow are curved very slowly. So by the time you've moved a couple of light minutes, you've begun to move down a curve. But two ships that are trying to get close to each other and framing can do so tactically, because at very short distances that curve is not going to be noticeable. You can say, I want to go there, I want to go there, I want to go there, I want to go there. And so ships have the ability to position and look for advantage over each other. There are really 2 primary types of weapons that ships use on each other, at least as defined by Dan. This could absolutely be explored. One of the important things to remember is that Revenge happened very early in interstellar travel, and there's plenty of chances for people to get clever. If humans are good at anything, it's figuring out novel ways to kill each other. So the 2 weapons, though, that Dan describes are energy weapons, which travel at the speed of light, which at a distance of less than a light minute is a fairly instantaneous sort of attack. Do keep in mind, though, that if you're firing at a target that is 2 light minutes away from you, it will be gone from the location. You're going to have to make a guess about where that target is when you shoot at it, because it's going to be 2 minutes. It's going to move for 2 minutes before your weapon gets there, and then it's going to be another 2 minutes before you know whether or not you hit. So it's the total round trip time of that attack. So unless your ships are really very close to each other, your energy weapons, your point defense weapons that travel at the speed of light start getting kind of sketchy. I could certainly conceive of an energy weapon capable of striking things a light hour away, but that target is going to have been moving for the entire hour since I fired that weapon, and who knows whether or not I'm going to be able to hit it. It's not like shooting light at a target on Earth where you're going to get there before the target can react. So energy weapons, high-powered lasers, particle beams, those sorts of things exist, but they lose effectiveness pretty quickly when you start talking about the scale of space. So you got to get close to somebody to use those weapons. The other weapon that Dan uses in his story that's a very enjoyable weapon is a nebula torpedo. And a nebula torpedo is a little tiny framing drive engine with a nuclear bomb set on it. And the idea is that you can drop that thing and just have it skip very quickly to a designated location and blow up in the range of the nuclear bomb. And then, of course, is the space. And you have a pretty good chance of hitting a target that is trying to stay engaged with you. If somebody's framing in a near enough space that they want to be able to shoot back at you, you're going to be able to drop a couple of framing torpedoes out there and have a pretty good shot at getting it close enough to damage that ship. Keep in mind that the shielding technology that we use in the Dryden experiment is a single-sided object. It's a Mobius field, and so what happens is when you put pressure against the Mobius field, it pushes back equally, but the generator that is generating that field heats up. The entropy happens there, and so it is definitely possible to drop somebody's shields or overheat somebody's shields, or to launch an attack and have it fail and have the shield generators cooling back off. You're trying to buy time for your shield generators to cool off before you take another shot. You might, for example, turn your craft so that you got hit on the other side next time. There's a scene in Alder's World where a shield has been used for atmospheric entry, and before touchdown they turn the ship so that there is a different shield that's going to be the first one to touch the ground, because they don't want that very hot shield. The shield itself can take as much pressure as you put against it, but the generator is going to experience heat and it's going to overheat, so you want to control that. But a nebula torpedo kind of grabs a frame, and it's intentionally designed to grab frames very, very quickly with the idea that it's going to get over there before the other ship can frame away from it. Okay. Then the third technology that's not really an offensive technology, but is very important, and Dan really explored it in Revenge, is the idea of a rippler. And the way a rippler works is it is essentially a framing drive engine that has been set to idle. It's just grabbing frames at random every time a frame comes by. Well, the effect of this is that anybody who is attempting to frame and attempting to move using framing technology will not be able to get a hold of sensible frames anywhere within a range of a couple of light minutes. Of course, the bigger the rippler you build, the bigger the flat spot that it makes in space. And this is a very, very important defensive technology. If you just want to keep enemy spaceships out of your system, what you do is you start running ripplers, right? So in defended planetary systems, you would find lanes and travel channels that were safe to approach. You could use your framing drive to approach the system, and then distribute it around the system, sort of minefields that are actually ripplers. And ripplers really suck because once your ship gets into the ripple and can't engage its framing drive, the only choice it has is to push itself out of there with its conventional engines. And 2 light minutes can become a very long time, a matter of days. So if you had planted, for example, a rippler that was set not to go off until a ship was very close to it, you could effectively trap that ship. You just let that ship fly all the way up close to your rippler, activate your rippler, and he is now a long way from being able to get back out of that. So that is just a very sort of general overview. I look forward to seeing some more space combat. I'm interested in people talking about heavy ships versus light ships. In another one of Dan's stories, he talks about an assault class ship that's main job is to carry Geist Marines in, but it is a heavily armed ship. It's sort of what we might use in a transport helicopter or other armored vehicle to transport troops with, except it travels in space and it deploys Marines on planet surfaces remotely and quietly. And I'm really excited to see some other folks develop some technologies like that, but that's the basic concept. We're going to go ahead and shoot at each other. We're going to shoot at each other with point defense weapons that are really very effective but have a very poor range. And then we have torpedo technologies that use framing drives themselves in order to get close enough to a target target to damage it with another weapon system. And of course, if you just don't want anybody close to you, set up some ripplers and set yourself a defensive perimeter. So, all right, that's 10 minutes almost exactly on ship-to-ship combat in the Dryden universe. This is Boom Comics. Thanks for joining us.